So next on the list is the hi-hat stand. Now let's move over here. Again, hardware box. It's in the same box as you had your tom holders and your snare drum stand. This is the hi-hat stand. Again, comes in two sections, so just be careful when you take it out of the bag. This is the top part of the stand, and this is the base. Now, first thing to do is on the bottom here there's a small tag which basically just holds these rods in, so let's get rid of that. It can come off. Now the hi-hat stand can be a bit tricky. Be careful when you sort of flip this over, because this is there's no contact here at all. So as you hold onto the pedal, bring it over like this, and then let this the foot plate drop down. Now, first thing we need to do is get the legs spread out on here. So again, just check this nut here, make sure it's not already tightened. Bring the legs out. Now again, same thing. Like I said, this is a bit tricky, but bring two legs out, get hold of the third leg, and then they should slide down together. Now, let's put that on the floor flat like that. Now, for the moment, we're just going to leave this base flat on the floor with all the legs obviously in contact. Now, be careful, because obviously we don't want it sitting up like this. That's not going to work very well, so just be careful with that. Just make sure that the legs are up and the base is on the floor. Okay, so now let's tighten this nut up again, and I know I keep saying it, but I'm going to say it again, don't over tighten there, and it needs to be as tight just to hold this in place. Right, on the bottom here we have two rods. Now these are designed to hold the foot plate in place, because we're on a chain here. So those are located into these two holes either side of the base plate, and that stops the foot plate from moving around. Okay, so there's the hi-hat. Now we need to put the top in. A couple of things to look for here. Now you've got to actually connect this rod onto this thread just inside here, if we can see that there. Got the thread just inside there. So the best thing to do is to actually undo what we call the clutch on the top of the hi-hat. Don't take it right off, just slide it to the top, nip it up again and push down, and then you'll see the end of that needs to go on, the nut that needs to connect to this rod. You'll be able to see that, and it's much easier to locate it. So let's put that in. Now again, another little tip, don't get hold of this and twist it, because there's a possibility sometimes you can cross thread the thread on the nut here. So just get hold with the fingers and just use the fingers to tighten it up. If there's any kind of restriction there at all, just undo it and try it again. Just make sure that the thread is in there correctly. Okay, that's good, that's looking good. Now, this bit here now is still loose, and this will actually dictate the height of the hi-hat. So for now, we're going to put that sort of 3/4 of the way up roughly, tighten this nut up here, and the stand is complete and ready to put the cymbals on. Our next step with the hi-hats is to get some cymbals on them. So if you remember when we first unpacked the big box with the bass drum and everything in it, we took a cymbal pack off the top. Here they are here. Now you've got 3 cymbals in this setup, one larger one and 2 of the same size. It's the 2 of the same size that you're looking for here, so let's just take those out the packaging. Now, with these cymbals, it doesn't actually matter which one goes on top or bottom. As you upgrade your cymbals, sometimes you'll see marked on the cymbal a hi-hat top and hi-hat bottom, but with the CB starter ones, it doesn't actually make any difference. So what we do is we take the clutch off of the top, just by undoing that nut there, and we place one cymbal upside down on the stand. Now, just in case, just to check, what you should have on the top here is a felt and a metal disc. Though just double check that they're on there, they haven't fallen off. Okay, so then we put the hi-hats and just make sure they're sitting on the bottom there like that. This cymbal here, we need to take the clutch. We take the nut off the bottom of the clutch, like so. Then we have the washer, and then we take off one of the felts. Now, what we do then is the clutch is then put through the cymbal, like that. We then put the felt back on, so the cymbal is actually in between the 2 felts, really important that. then washer back on, and last of all, the nut back on there. Again, don't over tighten this. We need to have a little bit of play in the clutch here. If the cymbals are too tight and you're clamping the cymbals up and you play them, the chances are you're going to split them. So make sure you've got some play there. Don't have that too tight. Okay, so from here, we then flip the cymbal up the right way and onto the rod there. Now, the cymbals then are going to drop straight onto one another and close up. Now, to play the hi-hats with the foot, we need then to push the rod down. Or let's just say, again, it all becomes a bit personal this, but let's say 3 or 4 centimetres roughly. Let's do this nut up here, and the hi-hats will be picked up on the rod there. And then the hi-hats are ready to be played. Okay, now let's put the hi-hats in position, roughly. We're going to look in a little bit more detail at that later in the video, but for the moment, the hi-hats need to sit left side of the snare drum. And a very rough guide, really, the hi-hats do not want to be overhanging the snare drum or inhibiting the toms there at all. So again, very rough guide here, just move the hi-hats over so they're sort of roughly level with the rim of the snare drum. Again, this is a bit personal, this, but it gives you a very rough guide there.